Am I wrong for refusing to pay my sister's bill and giving her information to the restaurant after she ditched me? This happened last night. My sister and her boyfriend recently moved to a town next to mine. I was excited as we'll be able to see more of each other now. Nearby, there's a downtown center that has a lot of shopping, restaurants, galleries, etc. There is one upscale restaurant that both my husband and I love. A dinner for two will run you about $200 to $250, so it's not a place we frequently go to. My sister called me last week and invited us out to dinner with them at the restaurant last night. I reminded her it was an upscale place and to take a look at the menu beforehand because they are pricey and we can go somewhere else, tons of other great places to choose from. She said they still wanted to go. We hadn't been there in a while, so we accepted. Dinner was great. At the end of the meal, my sister excuses herself to the bathroom, and when she doesn't come back relatively soon, her boyfriend goes to find her. After a while, neither of them comes back. We go to check for them and they're gone. I call and text her and she texts me back saying that they've left but thanks for dinner. It was just as amazing as you said it would be. I asked her what she meant but no response. I texted again asking if she really just stuck us with the bill and no response. I then texted that I never agreed to pay for them and that she had 30 minutes to come back to the restaurant or I'll give the restaurant all her information and they will likely involve the police. No response. At the 30-minute mark, I called and texted and got no response. So I stayed true to my word. I paid for mine and my husband's portion and gave all her information to the manager for their portion and then left. The next day, she called me back upset that she's been getting calls from the restaurant asking her to come pay or they'll contact the police. No block. I said I'm not surprised since she skipped out on her bill. She said she thought I was paying the tab since I paid for our dinners in the past. I have paid for her and me only, and dinners where the total tab was $60 max. I said this was obviously different than all the other times we met for dinner. This was all four of us and at an upscale restaurant, and I was not paying the $450 tab and she had to cover her portion. I reminded her that she invited us out and chose the restaurant. I specifically asked if she wanted to go somewhere else, but she is the one who insisted on going to this restaurant. She then said she thought I just paid, but when I asked the waiter for separate checks, she realized I wasn't and left for the bathroom planning to ditch. I said that since the restaurant hadn't contacted the police yet, all she had to do was go in and pay and it would be settled. She didn't want to do that because it would be too embarrassing and asked me to cover it. I again said no and that she had to take care of it herself. Clearly, I will not be paying for anything ever again. Our family has now gotten involved and I am being pressured to just pay the bill. So am I wrong if I don't and let the restaurant call the police? Oh my gosh. Yo, there's also an edit on here showing that the sister is in her mid-30s, so it's not like she's a teenager who can't pay for her stuff. This girl is a grown adult. Am I wrong for telling my coworker that I will report him after he announced my pregnancy during lunch break? I, female 33, have been working at this company for 4 years. I have great relationships with my coworkers and one of them is Austin. Austin is incredibly sociable and easy to adapt with new coworkers. We talk about all kinds of stuff while of course keeping it professional. I'm married and recently found out I was pregnant, but only my husband knew about it. Haven't even told anyone in our families or friend circle. The other day at work, me and the coworkers were on lunch break and Austin was with us. We talked, then he suddenly got up from his chair and asked for everyone's attention for a minute. I didn't know what that was about until he loudly announced that I was pregnant. What? I was stunned, like mouth open, eyes not moving, just staring at him as he and the others rushed to congratulate me and flood me with well wishes and parenting jokes and advice. I was in utter shock and I asked how he knew and he said, "Remember when you gave me a ride the other day? I saw your pregnancy test on the dashboard." My first action was lashing out at him in front of everyone, asking why the hell he just shared a private medical information at my workplace. He said he was just sharing our joy with everyone else since only him and I knew. Other coworkers asked that I calm down, but I meanly told him that he was out of line and that I will be reporting him to my superior for this and stormed off while Austin just stood there. My female coworkers came to tell me how rude I was towards Austin's nice gesture and insisted I heard him and that I overreacted, especially for saying I will be reporting him since he was just sharing happy news with everyone and I was just being too sensitive. But I felt my privacy was violated, plus I wanted to tell everyone on my own terms. Still, my coworkers tried to talk me out of it. Not just that, but also apologized to him for lashing out like that. So was I wrong for my reaction? Absolutely not. Who? This dude first. Okay, so there's a bunch of things wrong with this, right? One, it's no one's business to say something like that. That's completely out of pocket, right? Two, what if it wasn't your pregnancy test? Three, what if you were deciding to have an abortion? Okay? Four, what if you lost the baby? Like, people don't use their brains that God gave them. Like, why? Am I wrong for firing my sister after seeing her blog and not rehiring her without an apology? Basically what happened is I read my sister's blog. It was sent to me by a friend of mine who was asking if one of the characters was me. Spoiler alert, it was. It's a couple of years old and really popular. She doesn't use our family's real names, but they are very similar and use the same first letters. So think real names Kathy, Julia, Marissa, and Brad, and then the fake names being Kathy, June, Maureen, and Bob. It's descriptive enough of our lives and what we do for work that my friend identified me from it. It's mostly about her and her life, but there is still a lot about us. A year ago, I had an abortion. It was during the lowest point in my life so far, and only she and my husband knew about it. She swore to me that she would take the secret to her grave. Yeah, she wrote a whole entry about it. A couple of months ago, she and her husband got laid off due to world events. I run my own business that wasn't really affected, and I offered her a job there to help her out. She's not qualified in my field, so I essentially made up a position for her so she could have a steady paycheck. She basically does data entry and other random tasks online from her home. Her blog since then has basically centered on how much she hates it. She called it demeaning work and says a bunch of bull about how I obviously don't respect her intelligence. I say this is BS because 1, she would need years of training to work any of the open positions. 2, I told her what she would do when I offered it, and she gushed about how grateful she was that I was really helping her. I called her and told her what I had read and how hurt I was. Her defense is that the blog is her online diary where she vents and that I should know not to take any of it personally. She actually had the gall to tell me that she is hurt that I read it. In public. Apparently, the right thing to do was ignore it. I told her off for telling the internet my secrets and dragging me online where I could be, and was found out by people who know me. She just said she did all her due diligence by changing the names and it wasn't her fault my friend found it. We argued for a bit, it got increasingly heated, and I fired her. I told her that if she couldn't apologize or see how she was wrong here, then she wasn't who I thought she is and she could find a job where she felt more respected. It's been a week and I haven't spoken to her at all. Her husband has been contacting me on her behalf trying to get her job back as they need the money. He claims she is sorry, but I think if she was, then she could tell me herself. My own husband is telling me I'm overreacting and she's family and I should just forget it. I don't agree. So here